Hey everyone, it's Joanna again here from Latina Voice. Today I am meeting with Yvette Bodden. Did I say your last name right? Is it
Bodden.
Bodden? Okay, Yvette Bodden. And she is the
Bodden.
founder and author of Awakened Woman. So we have a powerhouse Latina that we're interviewing today. And I'm so excited to have you here. I really am. And I just basically want you to kind of tell us about you, who you are, how did you become so powerful, and how you could empower so many other Latinas.
Well, I think the first, so I'm Yvette Bodden. I founded Awakened Woman around 2018 after a really painful divorce. Um, I basically, the reason why I started writing, I didn't go to school for writing. I don't have a CFA or anything like that. Um, I went through this painful divorce, which led to a depression, an episode of depression. And during this turmoil, I felt that I felt lost. I felt like I had lost my identity in my relationship and in my role of mother and having a 9 to 5 and trying to be all things to everyone. I lost the sense of who I was. So I started writing, just to sort of let it all out because even when you have your family, your friends, it's really hard to talk about certain things. You don't always want to be seen. You don't always want people to know what's going on in your head. It's a vulnerability that's really difficult to express. So I started writing, and I found myself writing pages and pages until 3, 4 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. So that was like my way of journaling. And as I was writing this, I realized that it was a book,
Wow.
and it was very personal. The book is very raw, but I thought to myself, you know what? In the United States, we have, I think it's 49, 51%, it toggles back and forth, of divorce. I'm sure there's so many women going through some of the same struggles. So I decided to write about my journey as I was going through it and have it published. Having a book published it sounds glamorous and great, but it's actually a lot of grunt work. It's a lot of rejection, which I wasn't good at. I think most of us are not good at rejection. Um, so I kept at it. But during that same journey, I was going through therapy. I was trying to figure out who I was. I realized that, there's so many stories that we have as women in relationships, identity, struggles with insecurities. So I started this platform, Awakened Woman, as a way to share all these stories. And when I started it, the stories were mine, and some of them are still mine. But I started also including stories of other women that I had heard about or that I knew about. And I did it in a way that is a very tasteful, and all the stories have a lesson in them. Um, so I started writing these articles, and the readership just was growing from year to year. And I have women that are reading the articles in Kenya, in Pakistan, in Italy, in Sweden, I mean, all over the world. And it's really amazing that we could be so far apart, completely different societies, and struggle with the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I've always felt I have two sisters. I've always felt my sisters are, son dominicana. They're very strong. They're just very they're dominant women. And I always felt like the weaker one. And I realized as I'm going through this journey that your power comes from your voice. Once you realize that you have a voice and you have the right to say, you know what, I don't like that. I don't deserve that. That's not what I want. I want something different. I want more. you that is so empowering. And you can do it in your writing, you can do it vocally, you can do it you know, there's so many, you can do it, there's so many ways to express yourself, but you have to find your voice. That is honestly the key to your power.
You know, it's funny as I hear you talk, you know, when I saw your book and I saw the title, to me the title is so powerful in itself. Awakened Woman. It's like I could tell that there was a process of self-discovery, right? Um, and that
Well,
really resonated with me because I think as women, we come from a place that we deal with so many hardships, but we have to go through that journey of self-discovery to get to the point that we want to. So now that you're here today, how was that process for you?
whew, painful. it was it was painful. But I think no matter how much we try and avoid pain, it's going to come. It's going to come in different ways. Now I call them growing pains, and I still have them.
Yeah.
They're just, I think the difference now is, and I talk about it in my book. It's called A Journey to Becoming the Best Self. It was published in 2019. Um, I talk about the difference comes in when you embrace the pain. It's because it's inevitable. We're all going to confront some sort of pain, some sort of conflict that leads to pain. Once we embrace it and focus on how to resolve the pain, how to resolve the problem, how to resolve the feelings, that is when you sort of step into your power along with finding that voice. But you have to understand, like we spend our life looking for the happiness, avoiding pain, avoiding unhappiness. The truth is that you can't have one without the other.
Right.
For
You need
a
pain to
really,
kind of grow, right? That's part of growth.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
you do. And I realized that after my divorce, I went through this phase where I was, in my relationships, I wouldn't let people get close to me. I wouldn't let friends get close to me. I sort of would have that boundary there, because I didn't want anyone to get close and hurt me. But I realized that by numbing myself, numbing the emotion, I was doing myself a disservice,
Hmm.
because you need to feel those things, and people do hurt you. But guess what? You learn from it and you keep going. But you just can't have one without the other. I just think
Yeah.
it's part of life.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I know you also mentioned that you were in a state of depression. Did your writing help you come out of that depression? And if that's something that you would recommend to other women going through the same thing?
Um, well, yes, but it wasn't only writing. The writing was sort of, excuse my phrase, but it's almost like throwing up on paper. Because
Totally
you're
understand you.
because there's so many things that we don't we it could be shameful, it could be embarrassing, it could be crazy, who knows, but there's so many things that are in our heads, and when we put them on paper, it's like we close the book, and it's ours. It's yours. You can choose to show it to someone, but you don't have to.
Right.
It helped me sort of just organize my thoughts, my feelings. I think that was helpful. But I also did have several years of therapy, because I felt that you know what it was? I didn't feel that I had the right tools to understand and deal with the pain. And the pain came from, my childhood and old relationships. So I had to dig deep, and I couldn't do that work by myself. I needed to find someone, and all therapists are different, but I needed to find one that would give me the tools, not just let me sit there and talk, but
Right.
actually give me tools that would help me understand the problem and try to figure out how to resolve it on my own, because no one's going to fix it for you.
Wow, that's a really strong point because, some of the topics that we discussed, is a lot of Latinas and women from marginalized communities kind of dealing with this trauma as a result of their overlapping identities, right? And I wonder if some of that trauma also kind of impacted when you were trying to get published, that rejection, and why were you being rejected? There's always this little voice for some of us anyway that say that we're different, we're coming from these communities. Are we good enough? Right?
Um, yes, absolutely. But how do I say it?
It's a difficult topic, right? Like I
It is
know.
it is a difficult topic because I have spoken to other writers of color who say there's not enough support for writers of color. But I have to tell you something. My determination, I wasn't going to take no for an answer. And I feel that you're going to have obstacles. There are always going to be obstacles. There'll be financial obstacles, social obstacles, but you have to keep going and you just have to just keep pushing. Um,
Yeah.
I, I refuse to accept that my words were less important, um, because they were coming from me, because I'm a woman or I'm Latina. Um, I just thought of it like, you know what? If you don't accept me, fine, I'll knock on the next door and I will keep knocking. And if that doesn't work, then I'll build my own platform, which I did.
That's
but um,
amazing.
but I think, thank you. I think you just have to take this attitude where if you truly feel that your work, that what you're doing, or whatever your purpose is, if you feel that it's it's strong and it's important to you and it matters, you keep going. Don't take no for an answer. And if no one wants to accept it, then build your own.
Yeah.
That's I truly feel that way.
No, it's so funny because you're the second person that I talked to that said the same thing. Like, they're trying to publish their books, they're getting so much rejection that after a while, they're so empowered to kind of build their own platform. But it's still very frustrating that, those resources are there, but why are they not available to us? Like again, we go to the very beginning that we have to work twice as hard, right? So,
It's definitely it's just something we have to sort of embrace and use it as a superpower.
yeah,
You have to. And I think the upside is that there are more platforms, more publishers that are doing more,
yeah,
and it's because of everything obviously that has happened in the past couple of years. But there's definitely more support for people of color, I think, in the past couple of years. The way it happened, it wasn't that they woke up one day and said, okay, well, we're going to do good. It was more like um, their hand has been forced and now they kind of have to, because there are a lot of us out there.
yeah, they are. And we're not going away, right?
No, I think we'll multiply actually.
Oh my God. So what is one of the messages that you want to put out to, other women out there? Like you shared your experience, and I'm so grateful that you were very honest and forthcoming and very open. What is the message that you would let other women know? Some advice that you would give.
My daughter just turned 18, and I think about her, and I think the hands down the most important message that I would leave is find your self-worth, find that self-love, because it really does drive you to do the most amazing things. um, when you love yourself, and I always get emotional,
It's,
because
it's,
I
it's okay to get emotional. We're Latinas. That's what we do. We get emotional, right? So, I mean, please don't, yeah, if you need to, just go ahead.
well, for so many years I felt that I wasn't enough, I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't worthy. And once that bottle of self love just kind of, I don't know, swallowed me, so to speak.
You
I,
awakened. That's what
yeah,
you
exactly.
awakened.
Exactly. I have to tell you, I won't take less than I deserve. I won't. And once that happens, man, you are a power to be reckoned with. No one can stop you. That's the key. It really is the key. And the other thing that I have to say is that it's constant work, because we tend to, as human beings do, we tend to fall into our comfort zone. And as women, our comfort zone is nurturing, caring, taking care of everyone else. So it's you have to keep practicing. You have to keep practicing self-love, self-worth, self-care. You have to keep reminding yourself of who you are, and that you deserve whatever it is you want.
Those are powerful messages, and I think for our younger generation is something that we need to kind of imprint in their minds, specifically in today's time with everything that's going on.
Absolutely.
What is it that we could look forward to in the future from you? What could we
Whew,
expect
man.
from the awakened
Well,
woman?
you know what? I have to share something with you, because this is it's like my baby right now. So I was just named by Bella Magazine, one of the Bella bosses we
Yes,
admire.
I saw that.
That's like, that's amazing, because the CEO and the editor in chief of that magazine, ella es dominicana, de República Dominicana,
Wow.
and it is such a pride for me to
That is an
like be
honor.
part of that.
Yeah.
Um, in July of 2020, I started an empowerment series. And this was an idea I had. So I was sharing all these stories about me, about, stories I heard from friends. So I thought, and this all came from an idea, I thought, how about if I get women from TV that we see on TV, from film, CEOs. Of course, I was like, okay, it's kind of crazy, but guess what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to try interviewing them, and not interviewing them about their, the mainstream stuff. I wanted to hear their personal journeys as women, about their pain, to share something valuable with the readers. So that started July of 2020, and I have interviewed, wow, more than a dozen women. Women like Lisa Vidal from Grey's Anatomy, Christina Vidal from a show called United We Fall on ABC, Jamie Osorio, who right now she's on La Suerte de Loli, which I absolutely love on Telemundo, and she also had a part in the Fast and Furious 5. Tara Golden, who's the CEO of Hint Water, Amelia Cejas, who is the first Mexican woman to be the president of a vineyard in Sonoma, which I didn't even know. Um,
Wow.
I mean, so many amazing women, and the list goes on. Today, I published. This is a good one. An interview from the program manager at Google for
Okay.
diversity and inclusion. Like, ella es puertorriqueña, nacida y criada allá. Like, amazing. And these women have shared their stories in a very personal way that I'm so grateful and just like so humbled, because I'm inspired by their success. We look at these women and say, wow, she has it all. But guess what? Behind everything these women have, there's a story, there's a struggle,
Yeah.
there's a journey. And those are the stories that I want to highlight, because we all have these journeys. We all have pain, but we stand up for ourselves, we find self love, and we push through. We are stronger than we think.
Yeah, no, it is so true. I mean, that is such valuable work that you're doing, specifically with these people that are so high profiled, right? To really start getting that message out. So this is basically a movement, right? So could I assume that this is a movement for you?
Oh, yes, it is. It is.
And how could we
And
see that? Like, how could we log into you to find out your work? Because I know, people that are gonna see this video, they're gonna want to know more about you.
well, this
And
is
this is our goal, is to keep these conversations going, right? So,
absolutely. And this is the best part. The site is awakened-woman.com. I'm also on Instagram as Woman Awakened. The site is free. The resource is free. I don't charge for membership, and that is something that I really work hard to do. I just feel that these resources are necessary.
mhm,
We need to inspire women of all ages because, you know, it sounds crazy, but the work stops when you die. Like, you can't stop dreaming.
yeah,
You can't stop being motivated. It's kind of like it's what keeps you alive.
no, it's true. The work is there, and we just have to try to do whatever we could to kind of just bring that change, right? And trying to make it better for the ones that are coming after us, right?
Absolutely. So definitely, I would say, come to the site and just, there's literally, I would say, close to 500 articles on that site that I've written in less than 3 years.
Wow.
So
You're a powerhouse.
there's what?
You're a powerhouse.
Oh, thank you. I talk about abuse. I talk about, and there's one powerful story, and it's probably the story that has been most impactful. But I have an interview with a woman who's a CEO of a medical center in Westchester. Amazing. She's very successful. She gives back to her community. Um, she was raped at the age of 9, and I mean, I say she turned her pain into a cape of courage. And I feel that you can do anything you set your mind to, because that's a lot of trauma. And
Yeah.
she came back, and she came back. She is just amazing. She
Wow.
lights up a room.
Wow. I don't even. I mean, I'm really, like, I'm so inspired by you right now too, because these conversations, like, this is the work that we're all doing, but then we come across these stories that really get to you, right? And then you have to kind of figure out how to pass that trauma, because sometimes you can relate to it or something triggers it, and that's something that I've been finding during my own work, is this trauma that is like underneath it all, but people still don't want to talk about it.
But the thing is, and this is why I share these stories. This is how we connect. This is how we heal. And this is how we learn the lessons, by sharing the stories. And that's why it's so important for me to share these stories. And, I've written short stories about, women that have been abused and beaten up. And um, we need to talk about these things,
Yeah.
because you can't heal um, when you're closed up. You
No,
have to let it go.
we have to keep using our voice, right?
Absolutely. That's the perfect way to say it.
Okay, so we're almost getting to our end. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
I would tell I would tell everyone to dream big, not to be afraid. The worst that can happen is you'll knock on doors and people say no. I've gotten a million no's. But all you need is one yes.
And
And
then,
that spark that you get from that yes, that'll drive you.
oh my God, that's so true. So true and so inspiring.
Thank you.
Yvette, I want to thank you for joining us today. I mean, I appreciate you so much. I really do. And I am looking
Don't make
forward
me
to learn
cry.
more. Oh my God. And I'm just learning to learn so much from you. But I do want to thank you just for taking the time and just talking with me and sharing your experience, sharing your voice. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.